Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
After a break for Christmas, the Southern Cross ESports Summer Series returns, round 4, coming to you from the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in Victoria, Australia. It's going to be an absolute entertaining night of action with our Porsche GTEs out on track around this amazing Phillip Island circuit. My name is Jay Kennedy, and I'm filling in for Reese Gardner, and for the first time here on SimSpeed TV, a voice you all likely know, but new to SimSpeed. Hello to Wilco, Peter Wilkinson. Welcome to the show, welcome to the broadcast, and welcome to the team.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. I think you're exaggerating my reach, my voice's reach, but it's really, really good to be here. And I've been dabbling in commentary for a while now, and I thought I'd give you a hand because you always seem like you don't want to be doing it. So here I am to help out. And look, from some people may say they don't want you doing it, but we're here tonight to talk about GTEs. And Phillip Island, what a track Phillip Island is. It is one of the iconic tracks in Australia, isn't it, Jay?
100% it is. It's one of the closest tracks to me in the real world. It's an amazing circuit. And Reese and I and most of the other crew will say you can tell how iconic a track is based on whether it has corner numbers or corner names. Well, nearly every corner at this place is named. Such a beautiful circuit. One of the meccas of Australian motorsport, usually more for two-wheel than four-wheel action, but it's an incredible place and home to so many iconic Australian motorsporting moments. Just under 4.5 kilometers, and of course started out its life as a road street circuit. Went about 28 kilometers around the Phillip Island and decided that's a bit too dangerous. Built this track and ironically was supposed to run the other way. Got built, they decided no, don't really think that works. Let's try it the other way, and the rest is history. This is the track we had. Hasn't changed much since its inception. One little change at Miller Corner, turn 4, back in 1978. And then, of course, the massive repave work they did in the late 80s, which then brought the MotoGP to Phillip Island, where it stayed pretty much ever since.
Yeah, look, it is one of those tracks in iRacing. If you're in Australia, you've raced here for sure. It's one of the tracks you definitely get on straight away. I'm just trying to imagine this racetrack going backwards. The Southern Loop would be very different. You've got such a fast corner in Doohan Corner, which I'm sure there'll be a lot of action there tonight, and then the braking zone into Southern Loop. But Miller Corner, as you were talking about, that's going to be the big opportunity tonight. I think we'll see a lot of action just there. But the other one is MG coming through Lukey Heights down into MG is going to be the second overtaking spot. And what a straight. Gardner Straight, Jay. these cars will put on a show straight down there, and you can bet there'll be some pack racing tonight.
100% there will. It's going to be very, very cool to watch the whole way down that front straight when we get into racing action in just a little bit. The drivers are out in qualifying at the moment. We'll get into that in just a moment, but we'll quickly recap what has happened in the championship so far. Gianni Lutzu has won 6 out of 6 races so far in the championship. It is absolutely storming away, but there's some tight competition behind. If Gianni has a bad night tonight, everyone else will be starting to close those gaps down very quickly. Brody Watts and Tiago Macedo, they've been at each other's heels all season long so far, as well as Kyle Ridley and Ray Oliver. That 2nd through 5th group is really, really tight. And then the next group, 6th through 10th, those guys are all very, very close. Of course, 9th and 10th tied. But that 2nd through 5th battle really means that this championship is wide open after you take Gianni Lutzu away from the equation.
Yeah, definitely does, and very exciting because we get the 2 races here tonight. So if he does have a bad race, he shouldn't really back it up with a second bad race. But you never know. Coming through the pack can be a little bit of an issue. But 20 very short race, then the longer race in the second one gives them two bites. But yeah, very, very close, especially at the bottom half of that 10. Every little position as we get through race 1 and race 2 is going to be very important. But that race 1, Jay, 20 minutes, it dictates the qualifying for the second race, except for those top 12 are reversed, which is going to make things very interesting, especially going down into Doohan Corner for the first time off the start with a reverse grid is going to be, well, it's hopefully not carnage, but there'll be definitely some interesting moments where they go 3 to 4 wide through there. But yeah, very, very important points, especially in that race 2 with that reverse grid.
Yeah, exactly right. And the other part of that too is, of course, that compulsory pit stop, which we've seen be a bit controversial throughout races previous, where some drivers have attempted to come in and not pit it in the correct window, or the other part to that, forgetting that they have to take 4 tyres and only taking 2, or only taking fuel. So fuel restricted these cars are, so they won't get the full race distance to a tank of fuel. They only get just to over half race distance, so they will have to come in and splash some fuel in at some point, and that will dictate when they come in and get those tyres. But of course, they can't pit in the first 5 minutes. They can't pit in the last 5 minutes to do that compulsory 4 tyre pit stop. This is Tiago Macedo on screen, currently P1 in the session. Nick Percat and Gianni Lutzu, the 2 drivers for 95 Sim Sports, currently a little bit back, half a second for Gianni, which is a little bit surprising. But the rest of the pack behind Gianni, how tight is that? Cam Edwards only half a tenth to Nixon, quarter of a tenth to Brennan behind, Jules quarter of a tenth back, Ridley another quarter of a tenth back. So it's really tight away from there.
11 through the 14th, you've got
oh geez, that's close.
Yeah, it's about 1/10 of a second there, covering 4 to 5 drivers. But as you're saying, like, Lutzu's won all these races all season so far. Percat has obviously got some skill with him as well.
Never heard of him.
Macedo is, almost half a second quicker than the championship leader at the moment. You suspect that these 2 guys might find the pace, or they've had a bit of a slow running, or run into traffic or something along those lines. But he's holding on, and holding on by a big margin. Like, that is, especially as we talk how close the rest of the field is, he's got some pace here. We might see a different winner for the first time this season.
100%. Of course, if you're wondering if it's setup related, every driver is running the exact same setup. There are no changes. Fixed setup series, so you cannot run something alternate to try and do things. Have a look at the 9.5 cars, try and give themselves a little bit of room. Here's Gianni Lutzu, and you can see just behind is Nick Percat, and in the middle of them is their other teammate. That would be Michael Brennan. So the 3 9.5 Sim Sport cars, they're giving each other a little bit of gap to get that draft down that huge long straight at the front. So this will be interesting to watch, see if it works. This will either pay off big time and they'll go 1, 2, 3, or something horrendous will go wrong and 2 of the 3 will get balked and ruin their night.
Look, that is it. It is either draft affected, or there is the other point of this is Phillip Island. So everyone has done so many laps at Phillip Island. You might just find that he is a couple tenths quicker, Phillip Island, compared to everywhere else in the sim. So it is one of those tracks that people come out of the woodwork and just all of a sudden quicker than everyone else on the track. compared to what they usually are when they come to Phillip Island, because we are doing it so much. So as they come down into Miller, let's see if they're getting is nice and close there. That is Percat behind.
Percat's at the back of the group. I'm going to jump out too. It's been great to chat to you, to Wilco, but I'm going to jump out and Reese Gardner's going to jump back in. Enjoy the rest of the show. It's going to be very, very fun watching this racing tonight.
Yeah, indeed it will be, Jay. Thanks very much for bringing me in. Apologies that I wasn't with you all for the top of the broadcast. But yeah, Wilco, I've been looking forward to the return of this series for quite some time, and you are in for an absolute treat, mate, because the racing in this series is nothing short of spectacular. But yeah, as you and Jay have probably already discussed, Gianni Lutsu, and it's because of stuff like that is the reason he is at the top of these standings. He just pushes to the max every single time. Michael Brennan giving him a little bit of a slipstream, it seems, down the front stretch here. No, actually, it's Gianni giving Michael the slipstream as Nick Percat comes across the line to set at 27.5. That is that was pretty incredible there. That's one place that you don't want to put a wheel in the grass, eh?
No, definitely not. He did so well to control it. I've seen, obviously, lesser people get into that fence from there. But you could see there, he just tried. They worked as a team. Brennan got got a far better time there. He's only half a second off the pace at the moment. But that little bit of a mistake really cost all that work they put in. And 3 minutes 38 to go. I think they're sort of done. So we'll see if anyone else can get up there to the top of this, or I think Masadou has it in the bag at the moment, but we will see on that. Now, Reese, correct me if I get any names wrong tonight, because I'm sure I will get all of them wrong, and I know you are a perfectionist at that, so let me know if I'm doing anything wrong at all. But
I literally just jump straight in and make a guess, educated guess most of the time, but yeah, if there's anything obviously wrong, then yeah, I'll make sure to kick you out of the comms box and get a new co-commentator.
That's good. Jay's here in the waiting, he's ready to go. He's eager beaver, as they would say. Now, Reese, we didn't get to talk to you about Phillip Island. I want to hear your thoughts quickly. Well, we've got 2 minutes left. Phillip Island, your experience with it and your thoughts on it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a track where I haven't had much success myself in sim racing, and its layout is one that eludes me in the pursuit of hot lap perfection. But it's amazing seeing racing around here, because it is an old school circuit, this one, dating, of course, from the 1960s, and so it's a very flowing layout, very high speed as well. You really get to see the drivers pushing their cars to the absolute limit here, especially with the fixed high downforce setup that Southern Cross ESports runs. I love watching passes down at Miller and down here at MG that Anthony Jewell is going through at the moment, and I love seeing how hard they push through these last couple of corners, because you really have to build up the speed through that second last turn and then turn in here for the final corner completely flat out. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, look, it definitely is. It's definitely one of those tracks as we were talking about before, but have a look at this. Still 10th through to 15th. Like, there's half a second there, but that's really 11th through to 14th. 1/10 of a second. Percat did go a little bit faster there, as we saw. He's only 2.5 quarter of a second off Masadou at the moment. Brennan's got up ahead of Lutsu, which is an interesting little side note there as well, but there's only less than a 10th there between third and 6th, 7th, 8th, really 2/10. Such close qualifying. This is why you must love this racing, and glad to see be back here to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ben Braja, unfortunately, is not going to be able to get another lap in there. We've only got about a minute on the time ticker to go, as Alex Zani is going to come through to set his final lap time of the session before we get that hard cut go into that 20-minute first race here. Looks like a nice smooth run out of the last couple of corners. Zani currently down the field a bit in 12th. Can he do any better there? 125.6. And that, unfortunately, is not quite enough for him to move up the standings. So only 30 seconds left, and we only have a few drivers left to set those final times, among them Barry Punter here. Let's see what he can do. Barry doing pretty well at Phillip Island. We usually see him a little bit lower than this, but he's managed to put himself in 16th place, 1 minute 26.27, his fastest lap, but didn't get anywhere near it that time.
Yeah, he looks, he's probably going to, no, he's going to miss out on this, by the look of it. 5-4. His time was looking pretty good, but he's just ran out of time as we honey cuts him awfully short. But Reese, we've got the grid and we're ready to go, mate. How good's this going to be?
It's going to be fantastic. We have 21 cars that are set times in that session, and we can go through them now for this 20-minute first race here at Phillip Island. Starting on pole position is going to be Tiago Massadou, his first pole of the season. Nick Percat is going to start alongside him on the front row. Michael Brennan shares the second row with Gianni Lutsu, our reigning champion and championship leader. Cameron Edwards and Connor Nixon will round out the top 6. In 7th place, it's going to be Anthony Jewell. He starts alongside Kyle Ridley. Trevor Hearn and Michael Howlett are 9th and 10th, and then we got the top 12 rounded out by Mike Pepper and Alexani.
They go to Dean Hunt on row 7 alongside Ray Oliver. Row 8 is filled up by Ben Braja and Barry Punter. Row 9 is Jonathan Akers and Tom Jakulovic. TJ, let's go with TJ. And on the row 10, we've got Sam Dura and Francis Esteban. I see why you stopped doing this, Reese. We go into row 11, Joe Capone and Nathan Allen. And that rounds out the 22 cars or 21 cars for the grid tonight.
Indeed it does. Nathan Allen and Jonathan Hancock are in race control for this round, of course, part of the 24/7 Sim Services crew who help to run this series. Now, there's going to be a full formation lap here at Phillip Island, so we've got a little bit more time to get prepared for this first race and talk about what could potentially happen here. Fact of the matter is, Gianni Lutsu has been the man to beat this season. Very dominant performance, but we've got a little bit of a different qualifying order this time around, so there's going to be a lot of work for him to do in this 20-minute first race. Of course, if he can fight his way up to the win, Wilco, he is going to have to start in 12th place for race 2.
Yeah, look, and that is a key point, but his upside is he has 2 other teammates right alongside him. That is going to be a huge difference. Tiago is on his own, and I've been at the front of the grid before, but I've definitely been in races where the team is outnumbered by another team, and especially in a track like this where position and draft is key. Gianni, he's got a very good position to be in, but there is going to be some great racing down that mid pack there, Reese. I reckon 7th through to 12th was very, very close in qualifying. It'll be very interesting to see. We were talking about it just before you got on. In the championship, sort of 5th through to 10th, there's a very strong battle on there as well. Actually, really 2nd through 10th. So points are going to be key here tonight in the race 1 and position then for race 2. Do you, as a driver, Reese, do you think much about that reverse grid, or you just get the points in the bag for race 1 and deal with it in race 2?
I think that if you're probably like on the verge of the top 12, say like 13th, 14th, and you're within a second or so of the guy in 12th, then you're definitely going to have a red hot run at trying to take that position from him and try and get pole position for race 2. We've seen that happen quite a few times in this series, and the drivers that have benefited from that flip generally tend to do all right in the second race. They, obviously would drop down a bit with the likes of Gianni Lutsu and the rest of this Energy Motorsport crew fighting their way through. But at the same time, you're pretty much guaranteed a good result if you keep your nose clean.
And that is it. As they come around here, getting up ready, I was very interested to find out there's a go-kart track at this track that's exactly replica of the racetrack itself, Reese.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah, if you look hard enough at satellite imagery of the circuit, you can definitely see that. So it's definitely, if I ever make it out to Victoria, somewhere that I would like to go, something that I would like to do, if not have a bit of a ride around the big track myself. But we are coming up to the final couple of corners here, and we'll get this racing action underway momentarily. Tiago Macedo is going to have the inside line for turn 1 here. Nick Percat, of course, starting alongside. And how much of a hard race is Percat going to give? Pulls ahead a little bit on the way towards the green flag. Going to have to draw level or be a little bit behind Tiago, because now it's his call as to when to go. The green flag flies, and we are away. It looks like a poor start, unfortunately, for Cameron Edwards. He's under pressure now from Trevor Hearn going up the inside. They're 3 wide there, and Anthony Jewell making the position. But Edwards, oh, he tried it, and there's another car spinning in the middle of the pack there. We've got cars spearing off the circuit. That was all started by a slight spin for Michael Howlett, and it looks like there wasn't any contact involved there, though Cameron Edwards did move to the outside rather quickly and probably spooked him a little. But that's the way things are at the front of the field at the moment. Macedo and now Lutzu breaking away from everybody. Nick Percat didn't get the best of starts through those first couple of corners.
Yeah, that was a little bit of chaos there at the back, but yeah, Nick definitely dropped back straight away and didn't get the best of starts at all. We also saw someone going off in the southern loop, and also then at Miller Corner. There's been a few casualties at the first lap of this race. But Tiago is doing everything right here at Phillip Island so far, opening up a nice little gap already on Percat, and Brennan is still sitting there. No, sorry, I've got the wrong order here. But yeah, Gianni's just up there in second. Sorry, Percat's in third from that interesting start that he had. Gianni is closing this gap down already though, coming in on the back of Tiago. He's close enough here. He's to hold on. This is going to be great. We've got a few people pitting here. Well, sorry, I'm just looking at the background. There's a couple of people spinning out. Barry there on the screen coming out of turn 11 onto the straight there, unfortunately. But yes, this race at the front I think is going to be great. There's only the 20 minutes of this first race is total, but Gianni and Tiago are going to put on a great show at the front. But Percat is leading a little pack behind there as we look at the action a bit further back at the moment.
Yep, focusing on the drivers making their way out of Southern Loop. This is Jonathan Ackers, who has had a pretty good start, it has to be said. Currently in 13th after starting 17th, but he was in 11th when they crossed the line last. So Mike Pepper and Sam Darua evidently making their way back past him, and meanwhile behind them, Alex Zani and Franz Estebauer in the Blue Giant Mandura entry, fighting very hard here over the 15th and 16th spots, and it seems that Estebauer has picked up a little bit of damage on his way through the first couple of laps, as there's a spinner in front of them, and Estebauer collects him. Goodness, that was huge. That was Joe Capone, who went for a little adventure on the way into Lukey Heights. It looks like he just lost the rear on the way into the corner. We'll get another view of that thanks to our friends at Virtual Racing School. So Capone was here all on his own, making his way through Hayshed and then into Lukey Heights, and then the rear end just broke away from him on the way into the corner, and there wasn't much he could do to recover it from that point. Speared back onto the circuit as Estebauer and Zani were coming up on him, and Franz unfortunately drawing the shortest of straws.
Yeah, there was nowhere for him to go there. Zani was the best, got the best luck out of that, just getting off into the dirt and then coming back on. MG, here we go, move for the lead. Not quite
Macedo defending.
There, yeah. 16 minutes to go, and he's the flashing lights are on. He really just needs to get down and focus on MG at the moment, or the straight. That's, you know, you could try and put him off, but doesn't need to. There's 16 minutes to go, people. Let's see some racing, but hopefully this is going to bring Percat and Brennan into this as he dives, almost dives.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Gianni is looking very aggressive here versus Tiago Macedo. This is fantastic stuff. Macedo is doing a pretty good job of stifling Lutzu's pace here as Percat continues to close the gap. Here, meanwhile, is a replay of Dean Hunt. And, just caught the grass on the entry to Siberia and went spinning off. It got worse as well. It's a big shame. collecting another car in the midst of it as well. Saw a 5 in the number of that car, and I get the feeling that was Ben Raja who made contact with him. Meanwhile, side by side for the lead once again on the way into turn 1 and then into turn 2. A little bit of a switchback from Gianni Lutsu. Might he be able to get a late apex through Southern Loop and get the move done? Remains to be seen. Meanwhile, there's a 4-car pack here for 5th place. We've got Jewel, Ridley, Edwards and Hearn all fighting over the same bit of racetrack. Pretty fantastic stuff as Lutsu once again has a big look up the inside of Tiago Masadou and spins him on the way into the Miller corner there. Masadou moving over to cover the inside of the corner, and Lutsu already steaming on through under hard braking there. I understand what Masadou was trying to do there. We're going to get another look at that. So let's just break this down here, Wilco. Obviously, Race Control are going to be looking at Gianni Lutsu for this incident, but Masadou was trying to cover him at the same time, just fired it towards the inside of the hairpin.
I'm just wondering if he did move over a little bit under the brakes there right at the end, because I didn't think he was covering as much.
Yeah, well, by the time he'd moved over to cover the inside, Lutsu already had a slight bit of overlap there, but I somehow get the feeling that Race Control is going to look a bit dimly on that incident either way, so that's a big shame for our Polsoning car.
Yeah, look, and we had such a good little battle going on, and Percat was getting brought into it, and Brendan was also getting brought into it as well. We just saw how those two weren't playing nicely for the lap before that. It was on, and I think if Gianni had got past cleanly, it wouldn't have been a problem for the rest of the race. But yeah, that was... We'll see what Race Control do that. But I love this pack, 4th through to 8, sorry, at the moment, led by Anthony Jewell, doing a great job. Kyle, what a car. Look at the bright pink wheel. Brilliant stuff. I love it. But yeah, unfortunately, the 3 up front are going to go off. In the team, you've got someone in the background just gone a little bit wayward there at MG. I've done that many times. Mike Pepper coming back on, rejoining there ahead of Tiago, I think that was. But this is where we're going to see the action. These guys are doing really good, clean racing as well. I think they're all just enjoying being part of the pack. You can see just falling off the back there is Edwards a little bit, but he'll catch that back up as we come down at MG here. We've got Trevor Hearn in the middle of it, getting the good exit of 11 into 12 is key here. Get down the end of the straight here. That's what you need to do, and they'll be getting ready for the end of the race, trying to get their runs right. But you've got Trevor catch this right up. Might not get as well as he did, but yeah, this is a great little pack. Anthony Jewell, what's he going to do here? He's not going to cover. He doesn't need to cover. They're playing pretty well, Reese, this little pack.
Yeah, looks like they're giving each other a good amount of space, and it seems Anthony Jewell is giving a good amount of space to the apex of Southern Loop because he missed it by a mile. So that's going to bring Kyle Ridley right back into this, and he picks up the slipstream on the way to Miller Corner. Is he going to get the move done? Anthony Jewell sticks it right in the middle of the road, doesn't allow anyone through on either side, and so that closes the pack up once again. That is still some really good racing besides. Another virtual racing school replay here then. We're going to have another look at something that happened elsewhere on the circuit. Sam Dalrua having an issue, it seems. Into the Southern Loop he comes, and he went a bit too deep. Caught the grass on the outside. That's something that pretty much everyone who's raced at Phillip Island has done at some point. But in the middle of a 20-minute sprint like this, it will set you back a very long way as we look at that 4th to 7th pack through MG, out of the penultimate corner, and to start the 7th lap here at Phillip Island. Once again, Wilco, it seems that Anthony Jewell got the advantage over the first half of the circuit. But what will he be able to do versus this epic slipstream?
Yeah, look, I'm just looking at the table now. You've got, so just there, Trevor's the one that's going to get impatient here. He's trying to come around here. Currently, Kyle sits 4th in the championship. He's 10 points back from Tiago. We know Tiago's had a few problems here, so he's a little bit further back there. He's getting points on him. Brody Watts isn't ahead of him. He's actually in a very good spot to get good points advantage from a couple cars that are around him. So I would be happy if I was Kyle just to sit here behind Jewell except for when you see this, if he's getting held up by other cars and other cars are jumping in. And that's another good move there by Edwards, which has dropped Kyle down 2 spots already this lap. So that's not what he wants to see. He wants the most points he can, but he doesn't want to crash out. So he probably will be happy here just to sit behind Jules and just finish this race in that position where he currently is. But these two in front of him, I think, might try and push the agenda and get that spots up as we go through. It's going to be a very interesting race too. I know we're already talking about it, and we've still got 10 minutes left to race 1. But right now, Tiago's in 10th. If he holds on to that spot, he's going to be at the front of this grid just about with those 3 cars well back behind him. He'll get a head start there going into race 2, which will be vital. It might be a little blessing in disguise, especially if the stewards make it. We have a black flag.
Oh, that is big. Tiago Massadou has been black flagged for that incident that we saw between he and Gianni Lutsu. Massadou was the one turned around, but he was deemed to be the one at fault.
I did mention the moving under brakes. I wonder if that's what it was, but I just got the mocker on him. I said it was going to look good for him, and he's got a black flag. So that is the decision we are waiting for from that. Lutsu's in the clear. Tiago, not so much. So he'll want to serve that as quick as he can, get that sorted out and get back out on the track and try and get back. But there's not much you can do about that. We've just got another car. This is Trevor. Horn off, and this is what I said. Was saying that they look like they were going to try and push. He was the one who was pushing past, and he's just gone a little too wide.
Deep,
yeah, I've done that before too. So that is the spot. If you get that slightly wrong, there's nowhere to go. So Trevor's gone back to 8th out of that. So he's really only lost a couple spots. But Kyle, as we mentioned, sitting there in 6th, 4th in the championship. That's a free spot for him and one that he doesn't have to fight for anymore. So Jules still has Edwards behind him. But I think these guys are pretty well gapped now. Jules, as you said, he's the first half of the track. He's definitely got the speed, and that's helping him stay ahead of the rest. You can see just down the road there, Brennan's not that far away. The interval is about 2.5 seconds. It'll be interesting to see if they can catch up to him at all, working together where Michael's on his own there up ahead. But at the front, Gianni and Nick Percat are running away with this quite easily as we see Mike Pepper come in to drive through the pit stop.
Yeah, they're given a black flag, apparently, and I'm not too sure why, because I did check the incidents that came about on lap 1 and rewound through his entire race, and I couldn't see the specific incident that triggered the investigation for race control, so might need an extra clarification for that. Either way, Mike Pepper is all the way down in 15th and has yet to take his mandatory pit stop. The only driver... actually, no. Sorry, I've gotten myself. Yeah, I've gotten myself confused. Thought we were in the middle of race 2. So that has completely destroyed his race then, effectively. Sorry, guys, I've been out of the box for a little while. Still getting used to a few things up here. Car number 9, Anthony Jewell. Now that 4-car pack has become a 3-car pack. He's still got Cameron Edwards and Kyle Ridley right on him here with less than 7 minutes to go. That will be somewhere in the vicinity of 4 to 5 laps, and trying to find a way up the inside is Cameron Edwards. Will he be able to get it done? No, not on this occasion. Very difficult to make a move stick at the first corner, and the exit of Southern Loop is in Jewell's favour.
Yeah, he did. We caught it just before. It was around about MG. He got up alongside Jewell and almost got the pass made at that stage. So he is definitely trying to do this, and I think there's a move on in the last 2 to 3 laps that we've got left. But as you can see, Kyle there almost getting a little bit sideways, but he's just happy to stay where he is. Doesn't want to be part of this at all, but definitely Cameron and Anthony have got they're putting on a fight for here, but they're not going to catch Brennan. It's going to be a triple up front, but as we get these guys going through Lukey, and yeah, he's not going to be able to get close enough. He just can't quite get there at the moment. He's had two little digs in the last lap and a half, Just waiting to see if Jules makes a mistake so he can really close up that gap. I think at the moment that's what he needs in the last 6 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we wait and see for how this is going to eventuate. Gianni Lutzu and Nick Percat still lead the field, and they're together, separated by half a second. Michael Brennan has found his way still in third spot. And these guys making their way across the top of the circuit, keeping themselves in contention for those final few positions in the top 10. Hearn, Ackers, Nixon and Zani all together at the moment. No big moves being made, but one mistake will absolutely change the face of that. Speaking of close racing, Anthony Jewell defending from Cameron Edwards into the Miller hairpin, and seems that Cam is right on the attack at the moment. Will he be able to make any moves in the second half of the lap? And will it be worth it? Because there's an entire long front straight there that Jewell can just use to draft back past him.
The interesting part is Cam is sitting 8th in the championship at the moment, so there is that to think about. He is trying to get as many points up as he can. There's no one else ahead of him bar Kyle, so he can take advantage of this at the moment. But Jewell does make the apex. Cam's got a pretty good run out here, but it's probably still going to be not close enough. Not the time to do it, as you said. Definitely not the time to do it. A bit of an update on Tiago quickly. He is out in 15th. 12th is only, well, it's about 10 seconds up the road, which is probably not enough time. So that's not really going to help him out too much. But he is back on in 15th, so that's not too bad for him. But yeah, Jewell and Cam's not close enough. Coming to the loop, it's going to be, if Jewell can just hold it together, I think he's going to hold him off here as we see a nice little move here. Connor Nixon and Jonathan Akers by the look of it.
Akers off. There he goes.
And that happens. A little bit of pressure in the mid-pack, and you just try
it out of it.
He did just, I reckon. There might be a little bit of damage there, but not much.
Just bumped the tyre barriers, but yeah, I don't think there's any damage from that. Oh God, okay.
The car got off near him.
Yeah, looks like that's Joe Capone having another error. So we'll get a replay of that as we see them come on through. Move attempted from Connor Nixon, but unfortunately just didn't work out, and that's what happened to Joe Capone, nearly taking out Jonathan Akers there, but fortunately both cars avoiding anything too bad.
It works out for Tiago, Reese. He's moved his way up to 14th. He's about to make a move on Pepper, which will get him to 13th. And then Barry Punter is only it's about 4 seconds down the road, is Barry Punter. So Tiago could end up here on pole with 2.5 minutes to go if he can put some effort in here. And he gets right on the rear there of Pepper as he comes out of 11 and 2:12 and get onto the straight. This is where he's got to make it happen.
Yeah, and you know what? Looking at the timesheets, I think Tiago Massadou has half a chance of this because he was 2 seconds quicker than Barry Punter on the previous lap. Let's check him out this time. So Punter set at 1 minute 27.2. As that's a problem for Cam Edwards. He's gone off. Okay, the point is Tiago Massadou can get into 12th potentially if he keeps the pace up. We'll see what happened to Cameron Edwards here. And this happened, looks like, just into Miller corner, and messed it up under brakes. So close to cleaning them up there, but he avoided it.
That could have been very bad for Jewell and very good for Kyle. We talked about Kyle before being 4th in the championship. He's made his way up to 5th by passing no one except for people going off. This is on board with Jewell. You can see the late dive. He's just missed, and that is buy a lotto ticket, Jewell. You've got 4th out of sheer luck there. Lots of skill as we get the white flag here to get to where he is, but that could have ended very poorly. As we see final lap being waved. Here we go. Kyle's going to actually try and go around the outside. He put himself on the inside. That's interesting for
Punter.
Tiago.
That's Punter.
Yes.
So now Tiago Massadou can make his way past Mike Pepper on this final lap, then he will have pole position for race 2, and his Knight could get back on track.
Oh,
Carl Ridley and Nick Percat both slow. What's happened to Nick Percat and Carl Ridley? Wow, Gianni and Nick were right together when we last looked at them. Nick Percat is going super slow. What's gone wrong for him?
I don't know what's going on. He's about 5 to 6 seconds a lap off what he usually would be doing this lap. Kyle's the other weird one. I don't understand this. So Percat's just given it up to Brennan. That helps. Kyle is he just got that. Oh, he was fighting for that position, wasn't he? With Anthony Jewell. He was trying to go around the outside when Punter went off and we missed there. But he seems to be okay now holding pace. But Nick Percat is...
Here we go. Gianni Lutsu takes victory in the first race of the night at Southern Cross ESports. It looks like Nick Percat was just letting Michael Brennan by for that position there. And so we can go through and try a couple of things. It's still on for 12th. It's still on for 12th. We shouldn't be looking at this. We should be looking at the battle between Mike Pepper and Tiago Macedo. It is almost on. Pepper went super defensive at MG, and Macedo has not been able to get past him. Unfortunately, it seems that's the way things are going to be.
Yeah, no, that's it. He's finished 13th. He's had so many laps. He had all the pace. Unless he's holding damage from the earlier incident, he had many laps to do that. So that's a mistake by him. Mike Pepper ends up getting pole position for race 2 in 12th. But Reese, take us through that chaos of a result.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Gianni Lutsu, Michael Brennan, and Nick Percat are your podium there. The 9-5 crew doing incredibly well at the front of the field. Anthony Jewell comes home in 4th, with Carl Ridley coming home in 5th place. Still a solid finish there for the number 5. Cameron Edwards could have had a chance at getting 4th were it not for that mistake on the way into Miller. And same could be said for Trevor Hearn with his issues that he had over the course of the race. Connor Nixon, Alex Zani, and Ben Bradia will round out the top 10 here, Wilco.
Yeah, Sam Darua, after a little bit of an escapade in, I think it was Southern Loop there, ends up in 11th. Mike Pepper holds off for 12th, as we talked about. Tiago Macedo is 13th. We've got Jonathan Akers in 14th. Ray Oliver 15th. Dean Hunt in 16th. Barry Punter was in 12th and then ends up in 17th with that little mistake at the end there. Michael Howlett in 18th. Franz Estebar in 19th, and Joe Capone in 20th.
Indeed. Well, that's going to bring to an end the results. TJ, unfortunately, retiring early on thanks to some problems in the middle of the race. But while we're in this short 5-minute break between the sessions, we will take the time to thank the sponsors of this series. First off, V8 Drive Day Perth, Perth's greatest driving experience. They offer rides and hot laps and specially prepared V8 race cars around Wanneroo Raceway. You can be the passenger or the driver, and the closest thing you can get to what Australia's best do every weekend. Visit them and book your session at v8driveday.com.au. Over at Word of Mouth Signs, Pip Allen works to provide the best in signs and graphics, doing everything from vinyl wraps for cars, vans, premises, and much more to laser engraving and graphic design. No job is too small. Head over to wordofmouthsigns.com.au or call on 0400 551 555. VRace Experience is Perth's best full-motion simulator experience, located in the heart of Osborne Park. They use Motum simulators, professional hardware, and class-leading virtual reality goggles, so you can race like a pro and get fully immersed. To find out more, go to vrace.com.au. Speaking of Motum simulation, their unique patented True Motion technology delivers 6 degrees of freedom in a fully immersive VR environment. They deliver simulation solutions across Australia and internationally, working with many leading brands. To learn more about them, head to motumsimulation.com. Liquimoly is a global automotive brand made in Germany. You know about them. Well-renowned manufacturer of premium quality motoring supplies, including lubricants, motor oils, glues and sealants. Anything you could need for any vehicle, Liquimoly offers it at any good automotive supplier. To learn more, go to liquimoly.com.au. And finally, tonight's racing wouldn't be possible without 24/7 Sim Services, who are handling race control tonight. They're an independent provider of live race control, rulebooks, officiating and more on all sim racing platforms. Check them out at 247simservices.com. Well, now we're going to take a quick look, thanks to our friends at Virtual Racing School, at what happened on the last lap here between Tiago Masadou and Mike Pepper, and this could have been the battle that decided pole position for race 2 for Tiago, but ultimately it did not work out in his favor, and there'll be a few regrets in the garage of the number 15 there. Already on the defensive line was Mike Pepper, and Masadou tried his best to hold the outside around MG Wilco, but unfortunately just didn't have enough.
Yeah, not even the best drivers can hold it out there. There was a little bit of movement. He got a little bit balked by Pepper going into the braking area, but that was just close racing, nothing else other than that. But I think that sort of lost his momentum and missed his braking marker to try and cut back. Was probably going to be his best shot to be on the tail, but look, he had plenty of time to do it. He just, didn't quite get it done. But let's get ready for race 2. What a race 1. We've got 40 minutes of talking to do yet, and we've got compulsory pit stops. We've got tyre changes, all that kind of stuff. Reece, big race ahead.
Yeah, absolutely huge. We're going to go on a very quick break here, just for a few seconds while we prepare for that race 2. We will return shortly. You're watching the Southern Cross ESports Summer Series from Phillip Island.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching the Southern Cross ESports Summer Series presented by V8 Drive Day Perth. Got a couple of rounds left in this championship, so plenty of action to come over the next 6 weeks in this series. But we continue with the action from Phillip Island as we check out what is to come in this championship. 1st of February, of course, we're going to be racing at Silverstone and then finishing off the season at Watkins Glen on February the 22nd. It's going to be a fantastic end to the season, and we certainly hope that you can join us for it. Hopefully, these drivers will be able to put on great shows at those tracks. Mike Pepper is going to start on pole alongside Sam Dalrua, and then Ben Braja and Alex Zani are going to make up row 2. 5th and 6th are going to be Connor Nixon and Trevor Hearn, looking for a bit of redemption after some trouble and a penalty in the first race. My apologies, I did not look at that properly. I was talking about a different driver there. Cameron Edwards and Kyle Ridley are going to start on the 4th row here, with Anthony Jewell and Nick Percat rounding out the top 10. Then we got Michael Brennan and Gianni Lutsu rounding out the top 12. After that, Wilco, it's basically how they finished in race 1.
That's it. We got Tiago Masadou on the 13th spot, Jonathan Akers in the 14th there. Row 8th, Ray Oliver, Dean Hunt. Row number 9, Barry Punter and Michael Howlett. And then we go on to Franz Estebar in row 10 and Jake Capone rounding out row 10 there. TJ is in row 11 there if he comes into the race, which currently he's in there ready to go. So yes, he will be there.
Indeed he will, and once again Nathan Allen and Jonathan Hancock handling race control. So now we move off behind the pace car, and It's going to be all to play for here for Tiago Masadou.
Reece,
Yes.
I've just had a quick realization. We've got Tiago right behind Gianni. It's going to be a repeat. 12 and 13, just the way the winds have blown to have put them back to back for race 2, ready to go straight away again.
Yes, indeed. Well, we'll see how things work out between the two of them on track this time around. We've also got to consider mandatory pit stops here in Southern Cross Esports. The second race has a mandatory pit window. It opens when 5 minutes have passed in the race, and it closes with 5 minutes left in the race. You need to take a visit to the pits and bolt on 4 fresh tyres. You cannot pull a sneaky one and only put 2 tyres on the car, because you will spend less time in the pits. It's against the rules. You will be removed. So that's what the drivers have to think about here. The amount of load that is put on the tyres at a certain like Phillip Island, you might expect the tyres to be going off very short, but I would expect most drivers to be pitting around the middle of the race, as we've usually seen.
Yeah, definitely. It is the most common theory going out there, but I'm always one to go against that and try and do something a little bit different. So hopefully we see a little bit of strategy out there today as we get the cars down into MG. They're coming out into 11 and then on to 12. We're about to start racing, and Michael Pepper has this field. What are we going to see going into turn 1 here with all these cars out of the normal order?
Yeah, what are we going to see indeed? Most likely chaos. That's what we've seen a lot of the time in race 2 on the first lap in this series. So, turn 1 at Phillip Island. The first big danger zone of many on this lap. Who will get through unscathed? Mike Pepper goes very early and gets a magnificent run on the field as the green flag flies. Ben Braja managing to get one up on Sam Dalrua as it's side by side between Connor Nixon and Alex Arney there on the way into turn 1, and Nixon goes to the inside of Sam Dalrua, who is sent off and is going to spear straight back onto the track. No, he's going to slow it down in time. He's not going to be a danger to the other drivers out there, but is losing out massively. Looks like potentially some ever so slight contact there as Connor Nixon tried to fling his way through on the inside, and looking at it, yeah, it wasn't very slight. Nixon got caught on the curb as they make their way into the Miller hairpin here. Looks like for the most part everyone's gotten through the first part of that lap cleanly, aside from a couple of drivers that have had bad luck.
Yeah, there was someone at the end there that really had to lock it up coming to Miller, but otherwise, yeah, it's been a very calm start. Very good to see. You see here Kyle in the middle of it. He's actually putting on a fight here to make his way up the field. He's all over the back here of Trevor Horn.
Oh, Gianni Lutzu up the inside at MG. Kyle had to make way for him there. He might have to make way for Nick Percat around the outside too. Oh, has some trouble keeping the rear end of that car in check. Percat cannot get by, but almost seeing a move past was Anthony Jewell, who started in 9th place. So already a ton of stuff going on this first lap. But the biggest thing is that Mike Pepper is now leading by 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, jumping early is really giving him an advantage. Here we go. Oh, that's a hard spot to try and break, but he's done very well there. Done very well indeed. But yeah, Michael Pepper almost a second and a half over Zani at the front. This pack is right behind Zani now, though, but you'll see he'll have Percat and Gianni on his rear very soon. Cam Edwards there, poking his nose out, not quite to get there, lots of smoke. That's the 952 there of Percat, leaving a little bit of paint on the car in front there as they all compressed up under that locking of brakes. But otherwise, as you said, Reece, very good start to race 2 already. We've got some good moves already as well. Cam at the front, Ben at the front, up in 3rd spot as well, doing a great job holding on to these positions at the moment. But Mike Pepper doing exactly what he needs to do, actually opening up a gap on the field as the battle here is on for these cars to come through the field.
Yeah, Connor Nixon just lost 2 positions, and it's probably going to be 3 in the space of a corner there. Percat dived up the inside of him at MG and forced him out onto the curb just a little bit, but had to yield, did Connor Nixon. And now He is under big pressure from Kyle Ridley, who might try outside for turn 1, inside for Southern Loop, and we'll see how that works out for him. He was ahead at the turn-in point, so it looks like Nixon just went, yeah, all right, mate, you can have that.
That is it. Sam, unfortunately, is off way in the back as well, but this is a great little battle pack as we see the team trying to work their way through the field at the moment. But Connor has been the worst off in this situation, but Kyle's looking away for a few cars as well. He's got all these cars all over the back of him at the moment, but they're making their way through cleanly, which is good to see. We are almost at that pit stop window opening up. Well, not the window opening up, but the allowed time to open up. We've still got 10 minutes before the window will open up, but people will starting to see if there is a roadblock in front of them. Maybe they do duck in early and overtake them either in the pits or with a bit of an undercut. You know the one I'm talking about, Reese, don't you?
The something cut. It's always a something cut when it comes to tyres. Looking a bit further back in the field at the chaos going on through MG as everyone has formed their way into single file running for the most part. The main driver who is down and out at the moment, and not even out, is Sam Darua, who we saw get sent off massively at turn 1. He is currently making his way into MG while the rest of the field are making their way into turns 1 and 2. We'll get a replay of the start here thanks to Virtual Racing School, and you will see if we zero in on Darua and Nixon that Nixon tried his best coming into turn 1 to get a good run, but he got caught on the curb. It spat him back out and straight into Sam Darua, who was sent spearing off into the gravel. And speaking of Sam Darua, I'm looking at the live pictures at the moment on my end, and it looks like he's just come into the pit lane. He is going to get his pit stop out of the way right now as soon as the mandatory pit window is opened.
Just missed a whole heap of chaos at Miller as well. There's about 3 or 4
has he?
cars.
No, sorry. Sam Darua has actually retired from the race. That was him bringing it in and calling it a night.
It. There you go. Look, he'd had the second incident, as I mentioned before. It's one of those nights that he just might want to sit and forget about. Now we're going to another replay here at the moment as we see that looks like Miller, someone coming out of Miller. And
Estabauer.
Yeah.
Yeah, friends Estabauer and the Giant Mandura entry.
This is what I'd caught off screen, and he just goes in deep. Well, in front of him's actually gone off.
Yeah.
The juiced car there, and it's already made some problems. Yeah, so there was about 3 or 4 in that one, unfortunately. But ruined a few people's races early. Oh, look at it. Just kick to the right and...
Yeah, righto. That's not good there. The other car involved as well. We're also getting news that something has happened also for Tiago Macedo, and this is a very awkward part of the track for such a thing to happen on the way through Lukey Heights, a very fast uphill corner. Tiago didn't do anything wrong on the entry there, but has something gone wrong for him at MG? There was a move in front of him there. It seems, no, nothing. Oh, hang on, yeah, there it is, the 89. That was Michael Brennan, who finished second in race 1, going for a big spin. He exited the final corner, and that ended up balking a couple of drivers quite a bit. So
there's even been more things happen, Reese, but the main thing is Mike Pepper's doing a minute and a half in front. Zani's got a second and a half. So Zani's then got another 2 seconds back to Percat. Percat has made his way back up the field here. But Cam Edwards right on his tail, along with Gianni and Ben as well. Even Trevor is in this pack, but there's a nice little gap opened up there. So first through to fourth is about 4.5 seconds here at the moment. So Pepper and Zani doing a great job up front.
Oh dear, Ben Breyer going
interesting.
Off. Yeah,
no one's there, luckily.
Gets back onto the circuit. And up to speed. Jesus.
PJ on his roof.
How? Let us find out.
Especially there. That's MG. That's a lot of effort.
Yeah, you'll see what happens here. Car going off in front of him. That was Joe Capone. Got collected and then sent up and over by secondary contact, I believe. Oh, yeah, TJ spun on the way out and then... Oh. Okay. Well...
That's the thing.
Yeah, evidently. So he's still stricken there, spinning his wheels in defiance. Race
We've never had a safety car in this series, as I've been told. So, be interesting to see if we don't get one now. But yeah, Pepper, it's going to really hurt Pepper. He's done a whole heap of effort here to 10 minutes into this 40-minute race to really put the gap, not between him and, you know, the cars that are going to come through, Percat, Gianni and names like that, but the people he was fighting with and getting beaten by last race, he's got like 4 to 5 to 7 seconds over like Kyle and people like that. So if we did get a safety car, that hurts him in that way a lot more than anyone else. But Zani as well at the front there. It's not the gap over Percat, like I said, it's the gap over the rest of the guys that's really impressive at the moment. So really safety car. Okay, so we're hearing no safety car anyway. So yeah, like that's good for them, and yeah, they're doing a great job there. So what a
there goes Thiago Massadou.
Yes.
Up the inside of Michael Brennan, it seems. Brennan, who has been having a lot of trouble in race 2 after that fantastic second place finish, and would likely have been a third place if Nick Percat hadn't lifted off. As we look back from the rear and then the front, Trevor Hearn fighting incredibly hard here with Cameron Edwards, and just behind them Ben Braja and Kyle Ridley are dicing and slicing over 7th place as well. So quite a few good battles going on at the moment throughout this field. Let's see what Cameron Edwards can do to try and keep Trevor Hearn behind him, because they are closer than they've ever been as they make their way across the start-finish line. Benefit of a high downforce setup is the draft is quite strong, but once you move out of it, all of that drag comes back. Evidently not too much of a problem there for Trevor Hearn, who gets the move done on Cam Edwards coming out of turn 1. Edwards is going to try and fight it here. Tried the outside line at Southern Loop, straighter exit. Will he be able to fight back at Miller?
Definitely, it's one of those tracks, if you do get overtaken, you're always a chance to come back multiple stages, so it's not a huge deal losing one position in a two-man fight. Sometimes it can be a benefit if you're, especially towards the end of the race, but these guys are now starting to think we've got 11 minutes gone now. The window really opens up in the next 4 minutes. How are those tyres going at the moment? What's the drop-off in their lap times? Not a huge amount at the moment, so, you know, keep on battling on unless someone's holding them up, I think. Well, there's some cars doing some funny things back in the pack again, but these guys at the front doing a great job showing what a Porsche GTE can do at its best. Percat's now still not really closing that gap to Zani and Pepper, but Zani's actually putting a little bit of time here into Pepper. You can see there, he's right on his tail. He's done a great job making up that second and a half, or second of the second and a half that he was behind. And he's now going to be battling for the lead, but he's got Percat and Gianni Lutsu working as a team, just right behind him, closing in, and they can be able to see him in the mirrors. And here we go. Kyle is all over the back of Ben here at the moment, but goes wide at Southern Loop. And will he be able to pull that one up without doing damage? No, he won't.
That's a big shame there for Kyle Ridley. That's a typical thing you see, is that's just gone off there between Mike Pepper and Alex Zani for the lead of the race. And that has brought Gianni Lutsu and Nick Percat right into the thick of it now. It's a four-way battle for the lead. What on earth happened there? We completely missed the start of that incident. Coming in to Miller. Pepper just lost it on the brakes and they smashed together.
That's bad damage for both those cars. You can already see the wing for Pepper. That's going to lose him a lot of speed.
Pepper's got a meatball. Mechanical black flag.
Yeah, so I would suggest that Zani wouldn't be close to having that too, because he got hit pretty hard at that front panel. But if he, either way, he's got to look at coming in anyway, so he can get a little bit of that damage fixed while he gets some repairs done. Here we go, Pepper coming in. Unfortunately, I'd talked him up so much this race already, but that is going to sink his race right there and then, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's sad. Oh well, the race will continue on, and maybe if there is a safety car at some point, it will get Mike Pepper back into the running for a good finish. We ride on board with Cameron Edwards, who's staring at the back end of Trevor Hearn's car. These guys now solitary in their fight for what is now 4th place. Now that Mike Pepper is out of the picture, and it seems that Hearn is definitely the slightly quicker of the two here. Edwards is able to keep up with him in the slipstream and have looks in the braking zone to try and unsettle him. Looks like it almost worked that time with Trevor Hearn locking up slightly, but it seems that Trevor has got that position down pat for the time being. Thiago Massadou, meanwhile, has made his way up into 6th place, and he's towing along Ben Braja and Michael Brennan. Meanwhile, here it is for the race lead. Gianni Lutzu going to try and get past Alex Zani, and with the pace difference that's currently being shown between these two guys, Lutzu quite a bit quicker with than the damaged Zani here. So if this move isn't done by the time we get to turn 1, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, definitely. In the meanwhile, we saw Kyle in the wall before he's actually gone in and done his pit stop, so he should be able to get home from here. So that's a very hopeful stop for him. But this battle is great, and you can see Zani already holding that defensive line this early in the thing. Is just not going to help. He's not going to hold this, but no. Gianni, has the inside run for the Southern Loop, and that's the end of the thing. We won't be a moment. Percat will probably line him up for either Miller here or down at MG. But you can see they've got a little bit of lap traffic coming up, which could be interesting as well. But Hearn and Edwards still battling on behind there as well. Here we go. Zani's not going to make it easy for Percat, and we'll see here if the defending champion and current champion can put a gap on here before Percat can get past him. But I think Percat's got the move done now. No, he has not. There has been an incident. Percat's in the sand. Zani is facing the wrong direction and about to flick it in the sand, and that is an incident that will be looked at in by us right now. And he's dived down the inside there and just clipped him.
Yeah, at the same time, it almost looked to me like Zani caught the dirt at the end of the curb, but no, he was just taking a wide turn in for Siberia, and Percat came steaming in on the inside. So that is a real shame there.
Yeah, to make that move stick, you need both parties willing to make that move. I've seen it happen in many races, but it's always that outside car wants to be giving it up at that stage. It's definitely a wide turn in there, and Percat dove down the inside, but we will let the stewards sort that one out. Both cars are very disadvantaged though from here on out, so no matter what happens, there's penalties on both sides already from that one. As we go to Percat and Nixon. Nixon and Percat have both left their paint on other cars already this race, and they're racing next to each other now as the 58 is almost stuck there by the look of it. But Ben just having a really good race, wasn't he, Reese? And yeah, this looks like a self-made incident as it happens at Southern. You just go a little bit too hot, get that tyre on the dirt, and you face the wrong direction.
Indeed. It looks like race control have been very quick off the mark for that incident we saw between Zani and Percat. Nick Percat has been given a black flag for that incident. So we should expect him in pit lane very soon. There's Alex Zani, meanwhile, recovering, trying to at least fighting with Jonathan Akers, who was one of the drivers to come off second best in the first race here. Now, we shall see what Alex Zani can hold on to. Managed to get 9th place in race 1. And still holding on to a position in the top 10 this time around. We focus our attention forward, though, because Connor Nixon is now right with Nick Percat, who had lost a little bit of time after his incident with Alexani. Also got a tiny bit of damage to the front as well, which might be compromising his aerodynamic efficiency. And Connor Nixon is right there to try and take advantage. Oh no, he doesn't even have to. Percat loses it, and then Nixon loses it as well on the inside of Southern Loop. Both drivers making big mistakes there. And Percat has managed to get going again. Nixon has managed to get going again. But that is uncharacteristic there from Nick Percat.
Definitely is. And whether he's, you know, the black flag, the actual incidents just got him off his game. And I don't know, that's the very interesting move. What that's really worked for is Zani, who has spun, is now back to 7th. So he's doing a really good job. 2 incidents, not of his own making. That's what the stewards have said, and the other one was definitely a clear Pepper running into the side of him, have caused him to be in 7th. But like, that's a very good fight back from where he was, from those 2 incidents, to still be sitting in 7th, and really pushing the back of Connor Nixon now. So as we go up here, this is Tiago again, and he's worked his way up to 4th.
He has. He's had a really good race here so far. Managed to keep out of trouble and has kept his car clean as well. Looking very quick at the moment. Gianni Lutsu still the fastest car on track at the moment. 1 minute 25.897 is the time that he set on the last lap. But the quickest lap of the race, believe it or not, belongs to Alexani. 1 minute 25.284. He would have had the big benefit of earlier on in the race. As we see in the pits now, Nick Percat and Connor Nixon also making his way through as well. It seems, though, that...
flags, one.
Yeah. I'm not too sure what Connor Nixon's black flags were for, unless it was an automatically assigned iRacing one, because he didn't have any reason not to stop on my end.
He was... it could be an incident limit, as I think you pointed on, as iRacing would be the probable thing there, because it definitely was a drive through, both of them 19 seconds in the lane. There's some interesting stuff. Anthony Jules in the pits now. So we are starting to see these pit stops happen, but it's a war of attrition this race. We're seeing a lot of mistakes compared to the first race, as you'd expect in the longer races and the reverse grid, but it all sort of happened after the reverse grid stuff usually happens. It's this patch around that 15 to 20 minute mark where cars are doing silly things. And those who are staying out of trouble, aka Trevor Hearn, Cameron Edwards, and Tiago Massadou, who we're looking at right now, are really profiting from that. 2, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for these guys. A great job. Hearn and Edwards in particular have been battling very, very well together and very cleanly so far. And yeah, podium positions for them, Reese. This is a very good spot to be in, as long as Tiago doesn't do anything silly here. This should be all good.
Yes, let's not put the commentator's curse on anyone just yet. Side by side between Hearn and Massadou on the way into Siberia, and Hearn will keep that for now. Massadou has to look for another way past down one of the straight line sections, and Michael Brennan, remember, still behind them. So there's potential for a 4th car to be involved in this battle at some point, depending on how the pit stops go. Drivers that have come in for actual pit stops where they've changed all 4 tyres include Mike Pepper, he's done that. Jonathan Akers just completed. Kyle Ridley, Dean Hunt, and Anthony Jewell have also done that too. And it looks like Ben Braja is currently in the pits getting his service done, as we see Brennan just for an instant of a second there in the back of shot. He's come in now for his stop.
Yeah, there's some interesting little times there. I think a few of those are coming just for damage and might have to go back in again. We've got some Brennan and Zani pitting now as well, but this battle is still on. Edwards, Hearn, and Massadou are doing a great job here of driving together, which is really good to see.
Braja's had a long pit stop. Think to interrupt. Looks like Ben Braja is in a bit of trouble.
Yes, he's been on the box for a fairly long time. That is, I think I noticed him going off in Southern Loop while all the other chaos was going on. So he's probably got some damage there from that. But yeah, there's lots of pit stops happening.
Oh, speeding in pit lane. Black flag there for Ben Braja. That is the reason why he was held in the pits for a long time there. Well, that explains that. And we can move back to the racing action for the time being then, Wilco.
That is it. If my brain was a little bit quicker on the mark, I would have seen 40 seconds longer. Is around about that, because I've done that multiple times in my life. I know that penalty like the back of my hand. But we have Gianni leading the race here by about 7.5 seconds. It's here we go, all three of them in at once.
Yep, they oh, take it easy, guys. Making their way in as Connor Nixon and Barry Punter will likely be making their way back out. Looks like, yeah. Michael Brennan and Alex Zani also making their way into the pits on that last lap. We'll see who wins the battle of the pit crews in the battle for second. Trevor Hearn, Cameron Edwards, and Tiago Massadou. They are up on the jacks. It looks like Edwards has gotten his tyres started a little bit sooner. This is going to be big here. What will Tiago Massadou end up doing? Franz Estebauer joins them in the pits as well. There is your number 7 of Mike Pepper.
All ready to go.
Should be coming around soon. Massadou is first off the jacks. Oh, this is close. They're going to come out of the pits together. Tiago Massadou and Cameron Edwards. Meanwhile, Trevor Hearn only just gets going out of the box. That was a disastrous pit stop there for Trevor Hearn.
Yeah, that's a good 5 to 6 seconds over the rest of those two, the other two guys there. So that has not ruined his race, but it's really taking him out of the podium fight at this stage unless something happens. We're looking at Pepper here. Pepper's still out on track at the moment. He had the damage early on. As we see Gianni finally coming in to make his official pit stop with 15 minutes to go. Just in that window, he would have no fuel left in that tank, I would suggest. Diego has gone deep. Too deep, and Edwards has cut that position back. And you can see there just in the background, that's Brennan. Brennan is closing that gap ever so slightly. We'll see a 3-car pack here again very soon if they keep on battling like that and making mistakes. So let's keep an eye out for that one. Ray Oliver doing a great job up there in second on track, but he has not pitted yet, so that'll be an interesting one when he finally decides to come in. We've got Nick Percat finally coming in for his pit stop, but Ray Oliver leading the race. Good job. I love doing this race when I was racing, being the last one out there, saving fuel, getting an extra lap in, getting coverage. Well done, Ray Oliver. You are doing a great job tonight. But we have got Gianni out there on track, right in front of Pepper. Pepper weaves and wall.
Pepper with the warm tyres just tries to sweep by him on the way through Dewan and into Southern Loop, and oh no! No! Oh dearie me!
Pull up.
Gianni Lutsu spun around as he made his way into turn 2. After taking his mandatory pit stop, the race has been turned on its head here for the championship leader. We need to get another view of that. Pepper, of course, warm tyres. He was able to keep himself in contention here, but unfortunately, I'm not sure how to call that. Looked like Pepper was going to be going a bit too deep into Southern Loop anyway.
I think by the time the contact's made, there's not much road left there for Gianni. It's an overtake that should not be being made. Gianni should be pulling out of that, but he gets.
Oh yeah, he had a little bit of a wiggle on the way in on the cold tyres.
Yes,
so
he did.
Yeah,
An interesting one. Stewards will be having a close look at that because that will impact this race greatly. Just to quickly look at what's going on, we got Oliver and Pepper who are out there, haven't pitted or are pitting now. Cameron Edwards will inherit the lead with Tiago behind him. Michael Brennan there a little bit further back. Gianni Lutsu 7 seconds in arrears of this group by the look of it. It's just getting a little bit weird on my timing screen. Yeah, 7 seconds. So that was how much he was ahead of this guys by the time they pitted. So he can do it in about 10 or 15 minutes of racing. He can come back, that's 7.5 seconds, but it'll be interesting to see. I think if I'm Tiago here, I'm thinking I'm in a very good position, as he is theoretically second on the track, but first really in adjusted positions right now, Reese.
Yeah, well, still got 12 minutes of this race to go, and plenty can happen in that time frame. We'll await news from race control on what kind of action, if any, is going to be taken on the incident between Pepper and Lutsu. But for the time being, it seems that the gap for second on track at the moment is quite big and increasing here, as Masadou is finally unleashed and Cameron Edwards locks up a little bit on the way into MG. Remember, we're looking at the car that qualified on pole position for race 1, so Tiago Masadou certainly with a lot of pace up his sleeve as they make their way onto the start-finish straight to begin the 20th lap here. And now this battle, and then the battle between Lutsu and Hearn, and then Ridley and Estabauer, the only two other real big fights out on track, though Jonathan Ackers and Nick Percat are coming close to trading places. Johnny Lutsu and Trevor Hearn are right with each other as well.
Well, Kyle Ridley, who's on screen, is doing a great job. We saw him go off early on. Got that little bit of a nudge onto the wall at Southern Loop there, but he's fought his way back really well into 8th position right now. The start and finish position doesn't really tell the story of where he's been and come back to, but we talked about how good a race he had in the first one. He's coming 4th in the championship overall. This is not hurting his race. That's Pepper's got a black flag from his incident with Gianni Lutsu, so that was deemed that he did cause the accident, so now he's got to do a drive-through. So not much of a little help there to Gianni. It won't really calm his nerves much at all, but it does, you know, that's the right decision to be made, I think. Even though there was a little bit of a wobble there, he definitely did go wide. So that is him serving the pit penalty straight away. Mike Pepper is in the pits, so Tiago is now in the lead of this race officially. Cameron Edwards doing a great job in second.
Johnny Lutsu has been given a black flag as well.
Okay,
maybe race control thought there were two sides to that incident and each driver did something wrong there.
This is something.
Or have we missed something else?
That's cool. I can't. Okay, we'll have to get to the bottom of that after the race, I think, unless someone can find anything in the package and get back to us. But at this stage, that's going to change the finish, because Gianni had pulled it in. He's only 6 seconds off the lead at the moment. So he'd already pulled off a second and a half since I was talking about it about 3 minutes ago. So he was lapping, yeah, very quickly, to be honest. But now, yeah, black flag, that is it. But Kyle, as we talked about, so he's got Pepper in the back behind him. Franz is also there as well. This is a great little pack, but Kyle's doing a good job tonight. Going to be a great finish for him in 7th. So we've got, yeah, there is some interesting little stuff here. So, yeah, Pepper did only do a splash. I'm looking at it right now. So it's 5.7 seconds. He's going to have to come in and do a penalty. Yeah, Reese, it's really hard to keep up. It's a 40-minute race, and I can't believe we're already 32 minutes into this, and so much has happened. So many cars have gone backwards and then forwards, and Michael Brennan is on the podium now, yet again. Cam Edwards in the podium was positioned as well, and Tiago Masadou, the fastest one in qualifying, as you said, is leading this race by a full second now. He has broken away, and Kyle and Franz here, Esteban, are doing a nice little battle for 7th and 8th. Good quality into Southern Loop, but Kyle's definitely got a bit of extra pace on him there. Had a better turn in for sure. So lots of things happening further down the field, but yeah, the racing is really good. I'm enjoying this Porsche GTE race, Reese. It's a good series, isn't it?
Absolutely. just goes to show, you know, the amount of exciting and controversial events that have happened so far. In my mind, I feel like I only just saw the green flag of this race 10 minutes ago, but as you said, we are over half an hour into the race and we've still got 7.5 minutes to go, more or less. 7.25 now on the timing screen. So, comparing lap times here for the time being, Tiago Masadou, 1 minute 25.969. Cameron Edwards was pretty much level with him for pace on that last lap. So if Edwards can eke out a little more performance, he might be able to close that gap and potentially pick up the draft for another run at Tiago before the end. Michael Brennan was not able to get into the 1 minute 25s, but Gianni Lutsu definitely did. 1 minute 25.4. And remember, Gianni is still out there with a black flag hanging over his head. He is going to have to come into the pits sometime in the next couple of laps unless he wants to get disqualified from this race.
Watching here, Jules and Howlett battling it out for 13th and 14th. Howlett was involved in an incident earlier on, got collected in one of those Miller Corner little overshoots. And Jules had a really good race, first race, as we saw, and doing well to hold these to hold Howlett out here. But as you said, just another little point to keep in mind. Kyle, who we've been talking about how good he's going at the moment, he is 14 laps on his current set of tyres, so that could be a factor as we go in. The rest are only on 7 laps at the moment, but Jules doing a good job, not doing anything defensive here at the moment, just taking the racing line, and if Howlett's good enough, he'll get past. So Jules backs his speed and is going on as Gianni does serve his pit stop. Oh, a bit of grass taken up there as we come out, which isn't too bad. They kind of come up now through past the hay shed and up into Lukey. No mistakes here from Jules, and he can get out of it with a pretty good result. As we're talking about, is in the pits as well. I don't know what's happened there, but he's just had to come into the pits as well.
Yeah, Dean Hunt
Zani
in for a second while. Might be the case that some drivers haven't put in enough fuel to make it to the end of the race, because oftentimes you will see drivers taking fuel in these events as Howlett continues to close in here on Anthony Jewell, but does not make the move. Very nice livery on that number 45 car, one of my favorites in the field there. I like a nice deep yellow. Yeah, some drivers might not have put in enough fuel to make it across the line, and that's compounded by the fact that Phillip Island is a track where you spend the vast majority of the lap at full chat.
Yeah, that's it. They are about 5 seconds on the box, both of these guys who had to come in a pit. It's made a really good battle here. We've got with 2s turned into 3 as Jewell and Howlett. Howlett used a little bit extra bit of road there that's not actually there. But Hunt is in the middle here. Just coming out here with a little bit more fuel in him so he can get home. But these 3 are putting on a great show for us for 12th, 13th and 14th. Very clean still. No damage, no scraping paints, but let's see what happens when they can get back on this straight, if they can drag down and get into turn 1. It is amazing, Reese, how you can be sitting here coming into what is turn 10 and really be trying to line up for turn 1 already. That's what Phillip Island's so good about. That's what you talk about. Oh, as we see Jewell coming in to get a splash, I assume now as well. So that robs us of that little battle. But Howlett's going to take advantage of this right now, I think.
Yeah. For sure he will, and it's all members of the same team that have had to come back in. It's very interesting indeed. So we will need to take that into account. There was potentially a huge strategy error from the Frog Leap Juice Racing outfit. So now Dean Hunt is back out on the racetrack and having to try and fend off Michael Howlett. And to the inside of Miller he will go to attempt to get that done, and he does on the entry, but on the exit Howlett gets a little bit more of a run, not able to get it done through Siberia though, and it's very difficult to pull an over-under at Siberia, banked corner, and you can hold the outside there if you so desire. The slipstream is on through Hayshed and into Lukey Heights, and Howlett sticks the nose in there and says, hello, I'd like a bit of space, but Dean Hunt says no.
What is... Yeah, we're going to the front here because Edwards has really taken a chunk out of Tiago's time. I don't know whether Tiago's fuel saving. I haven't been able to get on board and listen to that one just yet. Although I think as we got on there, Edwards made a small mistake and lost him about 2 or 3 tenths. But he had got down onto a second there and was really starting to close the gap. His last couple of laps were 0.2 of a second quicker than Tiago. And one of the quickest ones out there on the track at the moment. So he was doing a really good job, but I think just as we got him, we just missed it. But here we go. This is the other one that I want to talk about, Zani and Hearn. Zani's doing a great job. We saw him in that incident early on. He was in second for so long. He's come up to Hearn. Now Hearn is having a great race tonight as well. Trevor Hearn has been in a lot of battles here tonight, but Zani wants to get back to fourth here after the blind of a start. I think if you told him you'd get fourth at the end of this race, at the start of the 40-minute race, from where he was, he'd be quite happy with that considering the strength of this field. And he's primed to get this spot back from Trevor, but Trevor is not going to make it easy for him. He's going to make him go around the outside into Doohan corner, but he's not going to quite get there. We crisscross through Southern and just make it happen at Miller. There's plenty of time here as we go back. Howlett finally gets the job done on Hunt, but has he gone too far there? He's going to have the inside going into MG, so that is end of that, and he's just going to have to hold it on the straight as we go back to the front race. It's all happening. There's so much happening, and we've got pretty much a lap to go in a sec.
Yeah, this is huge. This is huge. This will be the last lap, actually. Only 30 seconds to go, and the white flag has been shown. So Tiago Macedo is losing bulk time here. It looks like he might have had to save fuel right at the end. Cameron Edwards could have a shot at a win here if Macedo is not able to make it to the line on fuel. Just manages to press out the gap, though. The gap was halved there in about a lap's time. But it looks like Macedo has got enough fuel in the tank to finally bring it home and take his first win of the season, and the first win by anyone other than Gianni Lutzu.
Yeah, which is a great little effort. We know what happened in race 1. He kept it clean in race 2. Look at that, Zani. Great job getting home there in 5th. Trevor Hearn in 4th. Ray Oliver having a little bit of an expedition at the end there, as we see Gianni finally coming home in 6th position, which he won't be happy with, but realistically with everything that happened, that's not a bad result considering he got black flagged and spun in the race. I still want to find out what happened with that black flag, but here we go. Pepper vanishes, but then gets across as the juice cars get across the line after their fuel incidents, and can Howlett get it done on Hunt? Comes around, he's in behind him, he's right under that wing. I don't think he's going to have enough, but he puts it out, and I've put the mocker on Hunt. No, Hunt holds on.
No, you haven't. Just by a bumper. That was great. 0.035 is the gap at the end.
And you could see that's a great example of what you're talking about of these high downforce cars. You get out, as soon as you get out, he just hit a wall. He had all the speed and then had none of it. But Reese, take us away with wrapping up this race.
Yeah, incredible. Well, Tiago Macedo finally takes his first win in Southern Cross ESports with Cameron Edwards and Michael Brennan completing the podium. Great finish for Cam as well, who's one of the series organisers here. Trevor Hearn and Alex Zani will round out the top 5, and Gianni Lutzu in 6th place. First time he has finished in any position other than first this season. Connor Nixon and Franz Estebao, we saw them fighting pretty hard at the end with a big dive into MG, but Nixon came out on top with Ray Oliver and Mike Pepper rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, it was a great job from Ray Oliver coming from where he did in the first race. But Kyle Ridley in 11th there. Could have been better without the fuel. Dean Hunt, same thing goes with there. 12th, just holding off Howlett. We saw right at the end there by 3 100th of a second. Maths isn't my best right now. Joe Capone is 14th. Anthony Jewell 15th. Barry Punter in 16th. Jonathan Akers, the first of a lap down on 17th. Ben Baraja in 18th. Nick Percat, not his night tonight in race 2 in 19th. And TJ, we saw him on his roof 23 laps ago. He finishes in 20th.
He does indeed. And finally, Sam Darua, unfortunately retiring from that one as well. Well then, that brings to an end the racing action for the night, but we can go briefly to driver interviews, and the first driver we're going to have a chat to is the second place finisher of race 2, Cameron Edwards. Well, Cam, it was a pretty constructive night for you here at Phillip Island. Your luck hasn't always been the best, but it turned around for you here tonight.
Thanks, Reese. Yeah, it was a bit of a consistent run. I didn't have the outright one-lap pace, but I was able to string quite a few laps together, and the tow around here certainly helps you if you can tag on to someone who's just that little bit faster than you, and they can pull you along in the draft, and that certainly helped me tonight.
Yeah, definitely did. And the feeling that you had in those final laps as Thiago Massadou was just losing pace a little bit. Were you thinking, oh, good, he might be fuel saving. I could have a shot at this.
Thiago was good out of the pits, and so when he got alongside me, I let him go. But I knew that he would be pushing the whole way, so I was waiting for that little mistake, and it was just he did it at turn 4 on the last lap, and I was probably a little bit too far behind. But I didn't think he was fuel saving because he took the same amount of fuel as me, so and I was wide open. So it was just trying to stay in his draft because I knew Michael Brennan was behind me, and I knew he's fast. So just using the draft to pull away from Mike.
Well, either way, that is a podium there for you in the 4th round of 6 here. We go to Silverstone and then Watkins Glen to round out the season. How do you feel about those two tracks? Is there one that you prefer over the other, or is it like picking your favourite child?
I suppose when I was selecting the tracks, I really took some feedback from a lot of the drivers and wanting fast flowing tracks. So Silverstone historic is quite flowing, so I don't mind that track at all. And Watkins Glen with the classic boot is just, again, another free flowing circuit for these cars. So it has a little bit of technicality in there to challenge some of the more experienced drivers. And so again, drafting will play a key in both circuits. So you have to play that high-speed game of chess.
Indeed. Well, before we let you go, Cam, anyone that you'd like to thank for your podium finish tonight?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank all our series sponsors, V8 Drive Day, VRace, Word of Mouth Signs, Liquid Molly for coming on board as part of the crew, Motum Sims for all their help, and to my personal sponsors, Jazmat Steel, Glenn and Annette support me to the nth degree with everything I do, and I can't thank them enough. Plus VRace for allowing us to do this. NF Nitrous Formula, Liquid Molly again, Juiced Racing, Frog Leap Juice Racing for all their support as well. It's been a great Lux Performance for supplying me with all my race gear when I go racing in the real world. Brent's been a really good supporter of me, so I can't thank them enough. So, and to all the guys who are out there racing, it's great to have Gianni and Nick and Michael Brennan who are all racing in the real world, and we get some great battles on the track, so it's awesome.
Indeed, and we should also give you some congratulations as well, Cam, for elevating yourself into 3rd in the championship from 8th, because I've just seen the updated championship standings. You are 3rd behind Gianni and Thiago, so congrats, and hopefully we'll get another chance to chat to you soon.
Thanks, Reese, and thanks for SimSpeed and all their hard work, and also to Jono at 24/7. You guys do a great job behind the scene to make this all happen, and we can't do it without you guys.
That's Cam Edwards, their series organiser here at Southern Cross ESports, and finishing 2nd in the 2nd race. Well, for the time being, Wilco, it looks like that might be where we have to end things. Would have liked a chance to get to talk to Tiago and Michael, but they haven't been able to make it. So now we look forward to the next round of the championship here at Silverstone. That's going to take place on the 1st of February at 9:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and we are racing the Legacy layout, which is going to be interesting. Pre-2010 changes.
Yeah, look, Legacy's always good fun, and always something a little bit different. There's some changes there that were made for a reason. So yeah, these Porsche GTE cars going around the Silverstone Legacy course will be quite interesting, and I can't wait to hear you talk all about it. Obviously, Gianni will be there to get back on top of the standings again, or the top of the race results again. I think his championship's in a good position right now, but yeah, there's going to be some good racing there as we go to there, and then Watkins Glen, the oval that turns right. Can't wait to see
Just
what
plug
happens there
V's
as well.
Reese. Plug V's next Wednesday.
Exactly. And finally, before we go, we want to remind you that this is not the only series that Southern Cross Esports runs. Next Wednesday, the 18th of January at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern, we've got the third round of the Formula V Australia E-Series that Southern Cross Esports has set up. They'll be taking place at Watkins Glen. I'm certainly looking forward to it because I'm going to be racing in it, and plenty of other drivers besides, many from the real world of Formula V racing. Make sure to tune in for that. Either way, one more big thanks to our series sponsors, V8 Drive Day, VRace Experience, Word of Mouth Signs, 24/7 Sim Services, Motum Simulation, and Liquimoly. You've been watching the Southern Cross Esports Summer Series. I'm Reese Gardner, Peter Wilco Wilkinson with me in the comms box, and Jay Kennedy helping out as well. Bye for now, but certainly not forever.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.